Hello everyone! Pineapple here with our next non-show exploit of the 15th Doctor, his second novel, Caged. Written by Una McCormack, and judging by the last four novels I reviewed, I think we're in for a good time. Last time we had Ruby read by Georgia Cook, not my favourite, but still an interesting story, that I hope is starting a trend of giving interesting character work, considering that's a major critique of the last two seasons. Ruby Red was a good start, but I think Caged has certainly raised that bar. And is a change of pace, not taking place on Earth, but two alien worlds, and the artwork is just as interesting. First, let's talk about the characters. First up, we have 15, and I was surprised how well this fits in with Series 14, especially in tandem with Dot and Bubble. As 15 meets new aliens, he is filled with happiness and wonder as he makes new friends, but puts all his efforts into not only protecting Ruby, but in protecting an alien village of giant alien guinea pigs, and developing peace between them and their alien watchers. It fits really well with his character, and while the dialogue still has one or two cringy kind of speak, it felt more appropriate when he did it compared to Ruby Red's tone, as Cage's story is just as thought out, having a more meaningful moral, but is overall more light-hearted. Much like I was happy about Ruby Red 4, Ruby here is given a fair bit to do, and while not as physically demanding, not having half her body broken or bruised, she's abducted and manages to hold her own against an alien who, to be fair, isn't actually trying to hurt her, but is initially someone to be avoided. Added to later when she has to represent aliens in total to this upset and in turmoil species. In reality, Ruby isn't pushed to the side in her own season, but the way these books are written and the way we get to see the interesting perspectives of the characters does a lot more for me with both their characters than the episodes do, but to be fair, it is a lot easier to get it through word than on film. We have two main alien forces, and one more main character heading each of them, and my favourite of the novel would be Chirachar, of the Friends as they like to call themselves. Giant guinea pig people that may not be a fully advanced civilization, but is civilized enough with radio communication and evening naps. Chirachar is probably given the most characterization, and while not complex, a total softie who yearns to re-find the aliens that abducted them once upon a time, and make friends. So while very simple, Chirachar is easily endearing, just like the rest of their people, and serves really well as a good main character and pseudo-companion, their perspective and the lengthier chapters doing well to set the scene and world building. Along with Chirachar in the world building is the most interesting and front of the Ixites. Octopus-like people who show their dispositions in the colours on their skin, and a group of them strive to find or produce conditions to find aliens among the stars, seemingly going through centuries of expansion through space, not finding anyone out of sheer lack of luck. The main viewpoint we have is from Tixlel, a scientist, and while closed off and having an almost Mei Hatsume level of disregard for anything not their research, but at heart they are a kind and rational person, just completely unable to see from other people's perspectives, leading them to make the wrong decisions. Tixlel is clearly the most fleshed out of the Ixites. The other people in the whole more fleshed out than Chirachar's people, such as Laxalil, Axalal, and Raxlil, who do get page time, but in my mind were not given enough fleshing out. So I knew them as the friendly one, the evil one, so on and so forth. The book starts with a nice prologue to get you interested, but starts the first chapter properly, starting from Chirachar's perspective. In fact, the whole chapter is from her perspective, doing some nice world building about their world with her brother, Sheikship. Ironically named since the Shriek is name dropped here, tying into the timeline placement of Lucky Day cleverly. So Chirachar is abducted by an alien, experimented on, well, mostly just observed, but her friendly disposition is only amplified as she swears to go and find proof of aliens and make friends with them after her family wave her experience off as a dream. Later, 15 and Ruby explore and run into the travelling friend, together discovering an outpost, placed well planned across the planet in places the friends can't reach. It turns out, cute little armadillo-like creatures that Chirachar's people live amongst are Ixite creations, feeding intel back to the Ixites. That evidenced by Tixlel are so focused on finding what they think an alien is, they don't realise that Chirachar's people are almost as advanced as they are, until Ruby is accidentally sent to X Prime, metaphorically into Tixlel's lap. Before anyone meets the Excites, we get a fair few passages, which some might find as a bit too much of a slow burn, but honestly I enjoyed the pacing here. Especially with the larger yet less in number chapter count compared to Ruby Red. We get to meet 4 main Excites, head researcher, head of communications, etc., and a mob have appeared outside their lab, demanding the land they think uninhabited, which is actually Chiracha's home, her planet having been created years ago, and the development of life watched over centuries by the people of the lab. So it's up to the Doctor, the Excites, and Chiracha's people to come to an accord. But of course, the real villains jump the gun, land developers, sending armies of the robot armadillos to wipe Chiracha's people and homes away, ready to populate with Excites. The plot develops really well as the battle is fought on 2 fronts, Chiracha and 15 rallying her people to protect their homes, and Ruby managing to stop more forces being sent by introducing herself to the Excites, putting herself in front of the 7 systems and proclaiming for peace, which if I'm honest might be in Ruby's top 5 moments. After the climax, the happy-go-around is wholesome, Tixlel and Chiracha's reunion, after the abduction at the beginning bookending the plot nicely. And after their plan is thwarted, Raxlil comes into the village with a gun for one last try, but is beaten, and just to kick an octopod while down, they're allergic to fur. The Doctor and Ruby leave, jumping a little ahead to see for themselves that everything went smoothly. And in the future, another alien race finds them, and they're entered into the wider universe just like they always wanted. So, not only fitting in better narratively and theme-wise with Series 14 as a whole, the story and commentary within it is interesting and well written. The characters, new and old, are all written really well, and the new ideas are fleshed out really well through lengthy world building and perspective, make Caged a much more interesting and pleasantly paced read for me than Ruby Red. So I'm going to rate it higher. Doctor Who Caged by Una McCormack at an 8 out of 10. Thank you everybody for watching my review of Caged. Please like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you wish, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, ring the notification bell so that you're told every single time that I make an upload. Once again, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next review. Bye!
Toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.